US bombers launched an attack on Matrei and Brenner in Austria on the 21st of April 1945. The centuries-old Trautson Castle may have once been able to withstand cannonballs, but not the 34 tons of bombs that fell on the site on that Easter Monday. The historic jewel was almost completely destroyed shortly before the end of the Second World War. More than 75 years later, archaeologists from the University of Innsbruck are digging here for the Operation Trautson Peace Project in cooperation with the University of New Orleans. The scientists want to find out more about the historically significant fortifications which have their beginnings in the 13th century. Around 90% of the building was destroyed in the attack. Project manager Harold Stadler and his team want to find out what happened here in the last days of the war and what effects the bomb explosions and the subsequent cleanup had on the archaeological findings, i.e. the way the ruins present themselves today and much more.
The objectives of our archaeological investigations at Trautson Castle are characterized by two main questions. The first is a historical one. We want to know how old the castle really is. We have written sources, but it is through archaeology that we are able to identify older phases of castle construction. The hill itself also has a lot to offer in terms of settlement history. We can expect finds from the Middle Stone Ages to practically 1945. The second is the preservation of the castle as a historical monument. The castle is being revitalized, combining what is left of the castle and new wooden infrastructure buildings that are necessary. This is the second field on which we are concentrating in order to identify older structures.
In order to know exactly how the castle walls run underground, archaeologists sometimes first have to find them. Old plans are often imprecise, and on the grounds of Trautson Castle, the wall foundations deviate from the existing plan by up to 7 meters. 2 archaeological sections or trenches help to determine the exact location and thus to remeasure the castle according to today's standards.
Section 1 contains the connections from the keep to the actual castle. We try to differentiate the dungeon wall and the defensive walls. We also find a stone collapse here and can thus find out how the pressure of the bombs affected the wall here. How did this wall collapse? From which side? And we can still find parts of the old chapel, where we assume that there are still parts to be found that give us clear indications of its use. Section 2 represents a great challenge. I cannot remember such a large excavation trench being made within a few days in the last 10 years. So we really are in a pioneering role here, because such an excavation campaign does not last for years, but is always limited in time. We have found the eastern wall on Section 2 and are now documenting everything very carefully, also from a conservation point of view. With further building activities in the castle, which will take place in the present time, we have clear information about where one can build or not. Thus, we also act as an archaeological construction guide here.
Somit wirken wir hier eigentlich auch als archäologische Baubegleitung.
The area of the old chapel is in the western part of the castle. During the excavations, various finds came to light that, at first, could not be precisely classified. Due to the force of the bomb explosions, objects can be spread over great distances from their place of origin. The chronological sequence is also disturbed. But why was Trautson Castle a target for US bombers at all?
In the
last few days of the war, there were really only a few days until the end of the war. The Allied forces tried to bomb the nearby railway and tunnels. Moreover, they were of course afraid that a small alpine fortress was located here. And so this castle was destroyed over several air raids.
So wurde über mehrere Flugangriffe hindurch diese Burg zerstört.
In the Institute, the finds are catalogued in detail. The aim is to reconstruct the objects and their original use and to classify them chronologically and historically.
The question was, what does a castle look like after a bombing? Above all, what do the small finds look like, and what does the building fabric look like? It was particularly exciting for us to discover pieces of equipment from the chapel of St. Euphemia, including a holy water kettle and fragments of candelabras, which were demonstrably in the chapel of St. Euphemia and which were well documented with pictures. But we were also able to find older construction phases from the 16th century, and of course, of the wall from even older construction phases, which will, however, be a project for the next few years.
The peace project, Operation Trautson, lasts 3 years. As soon as it is possible again, colleagues from New Orleans are to come to Tyrol for further excavations. Together they want to reappraise the history and the fateful days of Trautson Castle. The Matrei Trautson Castle Association wants to revitalize the castle, and here too the discoveries of the archaeologists will be incorporated.